The 111th minute of a World Cup knockout tie. The reigning champions of the world are level, penalties are seconds away, their players are cramping on the turf, and on the other side of the ball is a nation of 500,000 people playing in their first World Cup ever. This is the story of Cape Verde, the smallest nation ever to reach the World Cup knockouts, the 40-year-old keeper who stared down Messi, and the 11 minutes that separated 500,000 people from the greatest upset in football history. Sit back. This one's special. Start with the scale, because the scale is the story. Cape Verde is a chain of volcanic islands off the west coast of Africa, home to roughly 500,000 people. That's smaller than a single mid-sized city. Most of the world couldn't find it on a map 3 weeks ago. This summer was their first ever World Cup. The Blue Sharks, a squad built from journeymen, diaspora kids, and one 40-year-old goalkeeper the whole football world was about to fall in love with. Nobody gave them a prayer, which, it turns out, was everyone's first mistake, because then the tournament started, and the islands refused to blink. Drawn against Spain, the European champions who would go on to reach the semi-finals without losing a match. Against Uruguay, 2 stars on the shirt. Against Saudi Arabia, and across 90 minutes of every single group game, Cape Verde were beaten 0 times. Not once in normal time. Against that company, they ground, they defended, they counterpunched, and they walked out of a group of giants into the knockout rounds, the smallest nation ever to make a World Cup last 32, while football's traditional powers were packing suitcases around them, which earned them a prize and a punishment in the same envelope: the world champions and Messi. Back home, the World Cup became far bigger than football. Every Cape Verde match brought the islands to a complete standstill. Streets emptied, shops closed early, cafes rolled televisions onto the sidewalks, families packed into living rooms, celebrating every tackle, every save, every clearance like it was a winning goal. Kids wearing homemade Blue Sharks shirts copied their heroes in dusty schoolyards, pretending to be Vozinha, Duarte, or Cabral. Thousands of miles away, Cape Verdeans living in Portugal, France, the Netherlands, the United States, and across Europe, gathered in homes, cafes, and community halls, all connected by the same 90 minutes. For the first time, an entire nation, both at home and across the diaspora, shared one dream. And with every result, belief grew stronger. Spain couldn't beat them. Uruguay couldn't beat them. The football world stopped calling them a lucky surprise and started calling them one of the stories of the tournament. Inside the dressing room, the players no longer saw themselves as underdogs grateful to be there. They believed they belonged. They believed the world champions could be beaten too. So when they walked onto the pitch in Miami, they weren't playing for headlines or history anymore. They were playing to prove that heart, courage, and belief could stand toe-to-toe with football's greatest names. And for one unforgettable night, they made the entire football world believe it too. Quick one. Subscribe to Pitchside FC for daily World Cup stories and debates. Now, the night itself. Miami. Hard Rock Stadium. Brutal humidity. And it started exactly to script. 29th minute. Lionel Messi finishes. His 20th career World Cup goal. A record. At his 6th World Cup. 1-0. Everyone settled in for the routine. Except Vozinha, the 40-year-old keeper, had other ideas. When Messi went clean through one-on-one, he stood tall and denied the greatest of all time. And slowly, the champions got comfortable, complacent. And Duarte made them pay, squeezing in the equalizer late in normal time. 1-1, extra time, against the champions of the world. And extra time was delirium. Lisandro Martinez blasted Argentina back ahead. Done. Surely. No. The 103rd minute, Sidney Lopez Cabral rifles in. Another equalizer. 2-2. Cabral wasn't finished. His curling free kick forced a remarkable save from Emiliano Martinez. Argentine players were dropping with cramp. Penalties, looming, and every neutral on planet Earth was suddenly Cape Verdean. Then, the 111th minute, a Messi corner. Christian Romero rises, and the ball glances in off-defender Dani Borges. An own goal. 3-2. That's how close it came. An own goal off a set piece, in the 111th minute, is the entire distance between football history and heartbreak. The whistle blew. Argentina survived, and would keep surviving, all the way to a semi-final. And the Cape Verde players collapsed, and then stood, and walked to their fans, 500,000 people's worth of pride in a corner of a Miami stadium. Messi and the champions knew exactly what they'd escaped. Everybody did. And think about the moments this team minted. The ones people will still be describing in 2050. A 40-year-old, standing tall as Messi bears down one-on-one, and winning. Cabral, 103 minutes in, rifling an equalizer past the world champions like it was a Tuesday kickabout. A bench, an island, a diaspora scattered across 3 continents, all holding one breath as a corner swings in. First World Cup, group of giants, 111 minutes against the holders. If you wrote it as fiction, an editor would send it back as too much. And no story here without the man in gloves. Vozinha, 40 years old, a keeper most of the football world had never heard of in June. A global cult hero by July. The save from Messi one-on-one. The wall against Spain and Uruguay. At an age when most keepers are coaching, he played the tournament of anybody's life and left with the world chanting his name. In a World Cup defined by goalkeepers, Bunu, Chaubert, Nyland, the 40-year-old from the islands started the trend. And here's why this run matters beyond one summer. The next World Cup, 2030, is co-hosted by Spain, Portugal and Morocco. The tournament comes to Africa's doorstep. Cape Verde just proved, on the biggest stage that exists, that the gap between football's giants and its 500,000-person islands is smaller than anyone believed. Every kid on those islands watched this. The next Vozinha, the next Cabral, the next Duarte. They know it's possible now. That's what a run like this actually buys. Belief compounding for a generation. So, the debate, and it's a fun one for a rest day. Where does Cape Verde 2026 rank among the World Cup's great underdog runs? The competition is legendary. Morocco 2022 went all the way to a semi-final, slaying Spain and Portugal en route. But Morocco has 37 million people and a golden generation. North Korea in '66 shocked Italy and reached a quarter-final. Cameroon in '90 beat the holders and lit up the world with Roger Milla, all giants of the genre. But none of them did it with 500,000 people at their first ever World Cup, and none of them held Spain, Uruguay, and the world champions without losing a single game in 90 minutes. The others went further. Nobody came from further away. Pick a side, greatest underdog run ever, or just the most recent. And your bonus, Vozinha, does he make your team of the tournament? Comments. Best takes get pinned. Subscribe to Pitchside FC. The semi-finals kick off tomorrow, France against Spain, and every verdict lands right here. Pitchside FC. Pick a side.